Chapter 6 Warnings. While the passengers were enjoying themselves, J. Bruce Ismay paid close attention to the clock. The trip was supposed to take 8 days, but he wanted the Titanic to get to New York sooner. An early arrival in New York would be great publicity for the White Star Line. How did the Titanic communicate with other ships? Before the telegraph was invented, ships had to rely on flags or light signals from nearby ships to warn of dangers ahead. In 1901, Italian engineer Guglielmo Marconi invented the wireless radio telegraph. The telegraph used radio waves to send messages through the air. The Titanic's operators used Morse code, a system of dots and dashes to communicate messages. These messages were sent to and from other ships or stations on land. By Sunday night, April 14th, the Titanic was 2/3 of the way to New York. Titanic's 2 radio operators worked in their small office, sending and receiving messages by telegraph. Most were communications with nearby ships. The operators were very busy. The telegraph had stopped working for several hours the night before. Because of this, they now had a bottleneck of messages to send. Many were personal ones from passengers to family and friends at home. However, the operator's main job was to learn about any possible dangers ahead. After 4 days of steady travel, the Titanic had entered into an ice field. On April 14th, the radio operators received 7 ice warnings from nearby ships. One ice warning came mid-afternoon from the Baltic ship and warned of large icebergs about 250 miles away. The operators passed the message to Captain Smith. He decided to alter or change the course of the ship slightly and travel 10 miles further south than usual. He believed that would be enough of a change to avoid any serious ice. Were the captain and officers alarmed? It didn't seem so. The ship was so well built, perhaps Captain Smith believed it was unsinkable. He never told his officers to slow down the speed of the ship. The Titanic was traveling full steam ahead. That night, the air temperature began to drop. Passengers felt the chill in the air. Wealthy ladies wrapped themselves in fur. Most people were content to stay indoors instead of walking the decks. There was no moon out and nothing to see but blackness. At 10:55 p.m., the radio operators received the last ice warning of the day. Later on, a nearby ship, the Californian, tried to alert the Titanic to the danger ahead, but Titanic's operator was too busy sending messages from passengers. He dismissed the message and told Californian's radio operator to shut up. Icebergs. An iceberg is an enormous piece of ice that has broken off from a glacier or an ice sheet. Ocean currents and tides slowly carry an iceberg out to sea. The iceberg that hit the Titanic began forming on the west coast of Greenland around 15,000 years earlier. It was likely 400 feet long. Only about 10% of an iceberg's mass can be seen. The rest is underneath the water's surface. 45 minutes after the Californian's warning, Titanic's 2 lookouts were keeping watch during the cold, clear night. It had been quiet since they took their post at 10 p.m., but the calm was about to end. At 11:40 p.m., the lookouts spotted a large, dark shape in the water. What could it be? An iceberg! Quickly, they rang the alarm and reported the Titanic was heading straight for an iceberg.